Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey everybody, it's a My Day Monday.
It's a My Day Monday.
My Day Monday. It's a My Day Monday. You know what it is. We're back at it again. Welcome back, everybody. It's a My Day Monday. You know what it is. We're back at it again. All right, cool. So let's consider this, right? There's a guy called Kabza. Kabza is an entrepreneur slash tender entrepreneur, whatever we call them these days. And he's looking for a big break. He decides to bid for a contract to build a hospital, a new hospital fresh, in, let's say, Northwest. And this contract is worth about 200 million rand, right? He bids and he wins this contract. And he gets a payout of, let's say, half of that contract, 100 million rand, for him to start up, to hire people, and to buy a fleet of construction vehicles, whatever the case may be, right? Now, instead of doing that, Kabza decides, nah, man, I want myself an M2 and the lifestyle that comes with that, right? And while I'm on my way buying that, I can buy one of my friends an R-Line GTI, whatever the case may be, and let's go, right? The lifestyle changes. He's spending much more than he was spending before this contract. And as he's doing that and as he's meeting this lifestyle, he realizes that people in this type of level or at this type of level have houses of great magnitude, beautiful houses that are out in great places, it's the Midrands or the Fourways, whatever the case may be, right? And he decides he's going to take money and spend on buying himself another house, right? So he takes a bit of money from the money in the contract. Instead of building this hospital, he's buying these things, right? He's buying a house, he's buying himself a car, he's buying his friends cars, and he's just going all out, right? He feels proud, he feels great that the build up to the work that he has done to actually get this contract, he's done well, right? Cool. Now, I want to picture that. I want you to picture Kabza, right, in the South African context, and with these all these tenders and contracts and whatever the case may be, right? It's happening today. We thought the introduction of a new president who understands business, who understands how to run a business and running the country like a business would change that a bit, right? It's taken a bit of time, but I think we're moving towards that direction. But that's a story for another day. But the point here is, we understand this type of person. We understand Kabza, right? Cool. So Kabza, instead of buying things that would assist him to make more money, he spent things that assisted him to spend more money. Now I want to talk about those two things, and I want to tie them back to Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The basic principle around that book is the assets versus liabilities. The difference between the wealthy and the rich versus the poor, right? Now, Robert Kiyosaki says that an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket, right? Now, I want to tie this back into the three categories that people in a society are usually boxed into, right? It's the poor, it's the middle class, and it's the rich, right? Now, these types of people spend differently, right? And you can see their spending habits in their income statements and their balance sheets, right? Now, I want to also talk about the income statement and the balance sheet, right? The income statement is basically the income, which is how much money you make, expenses, which is the cost of you making that money. And on the balance sheet, we then have the liabilities, which is money out of the pocket, and the assets, which is money in the pocket, right? Items that bring money in the pocket, regardless of whether you're working or not, right? Now, the poor earn money in exchange for time, and they go straight out, that money goes straight out in the expenses column in the form of clothes, in the form of food, transportation, whatever the case may be, right? If you spend money like that, and at the end of the month, after just buying clothes, buying transport, or spending on transport, on food, and whatever the case may be, then you're considered as poor, right? The middle class instead of their money coming in and going out through the expenses column, it goes to the liabilities column in the form of a mortgage, in the form of a car, in the form of accounts, or whatever it may be, anything that they have acquired in the form of debt that they have to pay back on a monthly basis. In addition to that, pay the interest back, right? Once it does that, it goes back to the expenses, they pay the expenses, and then money goes out. Now notice between the poor and the middle class that their spending habits don't necessarily include keeping money. It's money out all the time, right? Now, let's think about what the wealthy do and how their income statements look. The wealthy acquire assets, right? That will assist them to make more money. So it's assets, build up the assets. The money from the assets that bring money goes into the income statement. And then they can pay for their expenses and their liabilities as they wish, right? Now, in the form of a business, if a business is considered an asset, the business will pay for this person's liabilities and go out, and the money will go into the person's pocket, right? Now, Robert Kiyosaki also talks about the cash flow quadrant, right? Cash flow quadrant is basically the employee, the small business or the self-employed, the big business, and the investor. Now, the employee and the self-employed usually take on the middle class and the poor's sort of spending habits, the poor class's spending habits, right? The big business and the investors, they usually take up the wealthy class's spending habits, right? Now, we need to try to understand why. I want to try to tie this back in with Kabza and how Kabza went about his business, right? Now, Kabza, he gets this contract, right? We're regarding this as income. And instead of him buying things that will help him make money, i.e. assets, so that he can make money back into the income, he instead goes and buys himself liabilities, a car, which is going to take money out of his pocket over time. Another car for his friend, which is going to take more money out of his pocket over time. He then goes and he buys himself a house, which is going to take money out of his pocket, right? A house, if you're going to live in it, is taking money out of your pocket in the form of levies, the form of electricity, water, maintenance, and so on and so forth. So that's taking money out of your pocket, whether you owe it over a mortgage or not, right? So that is our mistake, and that is one of our problems in spending. Now, on a country level, how do we spend the taxpayers' money, right? That's basically the same thing. The government or SARS gets taxpayers' money, income, and instead of using that money to acquire assets, they use it to buy things that are not going to assist them to make more money over time and to become independent from the foreign countries that come into the country to assist us in whatever way they come in to assist us. Instead of taking the taxpayers' money and experimenting on building our own cars, experimenting on building our own technology, experimenting on how we can utilize solar energy and wind energy or whatever the case may be to generate electricity for our nation, we are splurging and buying 10 X5 BMWs for one man to drive from one province to another province, right? I think that is just, oh man. So that money, instead of it benefiting us so that we can figure out how to generate our own revenue in the future, it's going to another country for them to be able to understand how they can keep generating revenue for the future, right? Same sort of context. Now let's bring it a bit lower from a personal finances perspective. You get your income, your salary, and instead of figuring out how you can buy a course off of Coursera or off of Udemy or whatever the case may be, you go and you decide, I'm going to buy myself a Polo, I'm going to buy myself a Golf GTI, I'm going to buy myself a 2 Series, whatever the case may be. Now, with that 2 Series, the first thing you do when you get into it, I need to pour gas. You pour gas, I need to pay insurance. You pay in the bank. You pay everything you're doing on that car, you pay. You pay. You go out to go show your friends, you pay. Because your friends are like, you got money now. Bruv, buy a few drinks there. What's going on? money, lifestyle. Your lifestyle changes. You can't live in that house that doesn't have a garage anymore because you got a 2 Series, right? Let's make a plan. You buy a bigger house. Bigger house, more expense, liability, money out the pocket. At which point in time are you focusing on increasing your income, right? You're not. So instead of doing that, when you earn your income, buy a book. Keep educating yourself. In those books, you can find ideas that will help you figure out which assets to buy for the things that lie close to your heart and that you're willing to take your time and actually learn this trade. I was talking to my cousin the other day and she's like to me, what are good things to invest in? And I'm saying, what do you love? She loves singing. She loves singing. She loves business as well. Her old man is a businessman, right? And I say, you need to figure out in your trade, in the things that you love, what are the things that will assist you to do that thing better, to do that thing at scale. The sooner you can do it at scale, the sooner you can make passive income out of this love of yours and out of this passion of yours, right? Gabs, I gotta let him struggle on his own, because now, instead of us having a hospital to treat our people of any disease, i.e. the coronaviruses of the days, we are all struggling. He has given the money to another country more than twice, right? By buying a German car, 2 German cars, whatever the case may be. And now we are left struggling without a hospital that is short of things that we require to be able to give our patients the best experience when they are in a hospital within South Africa, right? Now, I want us to start thinking differently about how we go about spending our money, how we go about looking at expenditures within a country, and how we can do this at a bigger scale than just our households, than just our country, and how we can do this on a continental scale, right? Debt is a liability unless you know how to use it well. Wealthy people use debt to acquire assets. Rune, you take debt to go and enjoy it. You buy a car. That's not going to help you make money. Liability. Instead of buying or taking debt to buy a car and put it in Uber, for it to generate money over time to pay that debt back and then start making money for you afterwards. Simple things like that, right? I think I'll stop it there. A lot of these concepts I got from Robert Kiyosaki, his 2 books that I read, Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cashflow Quadrand. I'll link the Audible books down below. I'll link some references. There's a site that also puts together a summary of the book and what the book is about, gives you these illustrations that I've been putting up as well. I'll link those illustrations down below as well. Let me know what you think of these videos. I'm gonna keep talking about these. And in the past, I've talking about a bit of philosophy and understanding how you can get yourself how you can get yourself prepared for building success, building a legacy, and attaining your purpose. I've spoken a lot about purpose, character, values, I think right now it's time to talk about the actual doing on how to get from where you are to where you want to go, right? From where you are now in your purpose, right? That's what I'm going to start focusing on. A lot of the things I'm going to be talking about are concepts from certain books that I'm taking tips from, and I'm doing this as a form of sustenance, right? I'm using myself as a case study, and later on, as we build this brand, this business, we'll start to see what it actually took over time, the mistakes that we've made over time in building a business of the magnitude that I've described in my purpose, right? I want to thank you guys for listening and watching and coming back to my channel every single Monday, 6 o'clock, Monday, and sharing your thoughts and sharing these videos with your friends and family members. I'd love for you to keep doing that. It really keeps me going, keeps these videos are filled with content that I'm passionate about, content that I'm living today. And I also want to thank you for subscribing, right? And turning on those notifications. You know those notifications. Do the right thing if you haven't. Don't miss out, because right now it's me just recording my process between where I am now and how I'm going to fulfill my purpose, right? Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your support. Remember, you're a future legend. Let's get it.